What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. The boys are here. We're ready to go. We've got some more roster mania stuff to talk about, as well as a potential map change heading into year 4. We'll talk about all of that coming up here in a little bit, as well as our interview. But before we get into all of that, let's check in with the fellas. Enoch, how are you doing?
Yeah, my week's been pretty good. Nothing to complain about. Just got done with one holiday, and I've got a bunch of more. Like I got a feast coming up, which I'm definitely super excited for. But it's just a lot of building season. Everything I want to keep the momentum of what I had going on last week and just continue it into this week, and really just not just focus on only like the business aspect of my life, but all of it, and so that I can be performing in the top 1% in all areas and not just the business side of things. And so it's just another opportunity to grow and learn and get one step closer. And yeah, I'm really excited to have this time off that I'll be away for Sukkot, which I won't be back till the 8th, if maybe the 9th. And so that's going to be amazing because it'll be some of the longest time that I spend off a stream, and it'll just allow me to like completely take my attention elsewhere and focus on things that are more important, and then hopefully use that as something that when I do come back is something that will help me continue to just push on forward and continue to crush it. But yeah, it's been a good week. How are y'all?
I'm
Finn, how are
good,
you?
bro. I ran my first 5K on Saturday, and I'm going to be honest, bro. I should have probably prepared a tiny bit more, like a tiny bit more. I went into that, John, the night before. I had just ate a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, and I was definitely very dehydrated. And so if I could go back and do it over again, I would have done that. I did it in 33 minutes, which is an average pace of 11 minutes per mile, which is not fantastic. I know. A lot of people would be like, dude, are you serious? But for me, as somebody who doesn't do long distance ever in their life and was training for it, I think I did pretty well. And so it was more so I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And so I went and did it. And my family was there. My family showed up, which was really nice and kind of them. I was greeted as I finished the 5K race to my nieces and nephews screaming, "Go Uncle Chris," which was very sweet. So besides, I got my first almost runner's high, which is insane, by the way. And I was like, I get it. I get why these people do what they do. So that was that was my week. But Wyatt, how was your week?
I don't know if you could draw up like a worse week, in like the best way, if that makes sense. Because it's like it's a hobby, like sports, all that stuff. It's all a hobby. It's all for fun, and everything else in my life was fine. Like there was no injuries, no sadness, no pain, no loss, none of that. But as far as just straight up sports go, watching my team almost break the record for giving up the most points in an NFL football game, and they could have broken it. The Dolphins could have broken it. They chose not to. They were in field goal range. They could have broken the record. They chose not to. I almost wish they would have, because then we would have maybe had some change around the team. But the amount of fans from this show who tweeted me throughout that entire game was insane. And it was cool because it's just like people know that that's your team and they're watching and they're just kind of like laughing at you and poking fun. That's fun. But also watching your team lose 70-20 is just great. Not great. And that wasn't the only thing that happened. So on Friday, Fresno State, we had our first ever hockey game as a team, like a club team of the school. It's a trial basis. We're trying to make this club like a legitimate hockey team. I think we're Division II, and I was very excited because I got to be the broadcaster for it. We get there, we drive in a bus. It was a nice bus. to, I think it was like a 6-hour bus ride to Irvine to go play Cal State Fullerton. Our goalie was hurt. We had to throw in a forward at goalie. This other team had a full roster of kids plus probably like 5 or 6. Like they had every position filled. I think we were short like 2 lines, and we're out there. We're trying to play. We lost 18-2, and I'm not familiar if you. I don't know if you guys are familiar with hockey scores, but
that's bad.
Yeah, they
Like,
had to
that's
call
just-
the game after the second period. They were like, let's just not play a third. And I had to. And also, as far as the broadcast went, I didn't get it up because for whatever reason, the camera wasn't working. I had the Twitch already. I made a scoreboard. I had a cool little score bug ready to go. I had made all these graphics for it, and the camera wouldn't work. And I was getting assaulted by fans behind me just saying "fuck Fresno" as I'm recording. I just decided to record for practice. And then 10 minutes into that, I was like, Coach isn't going to want any of this for practice. What is he going to say? What is he going to do? So it was just all the way around. And then we still had to drive all the way back to Fresno, which was like another 5-hour bus ride. Didn't get home till like 4 a.m. So no broadcast. We got trounced, like just destroyed. Then I wake up and I have like a day of rest, but I basically just slept all day. And then I woke up to the Broncos losing 70-20. So it was just like, as far as recreational sports go, you could not have drawn up a worse week for me. It was
I have
just
a question,
really,
Wyatt.
really bad.
Did it feel like personal whenever you guys were getting destroyed as a
In which one?
18
No,
to
well,
2.
I was gonna say more
Oh,
so
my.
as a Broncos fan, because isn't there like Nathaniel Hackett and all that stuff, right? Isn't that?
Okay, let me
That's
let
what
me
I. Yeah,
clear
I
this
do
up
need.
right
That's
now
what I
because
know.
this
I need
is
that.
yeah. This is the one thing I want to say to anybody saying anything about Nathaniel Hackett. If Nathaniel Hackett coaches that game, we lose by 90. People need to stop with the Nathaniel Hackett thing. He was such a bad head coach. We had to fire him 11 weeks in. Now, Sean Payton is historically a much better coach, but also we hired an ex head coach who sucked as our defensive coordinator in Vance Joseph, who we fired, I think, 5-6 years ago because he was bad. And then we brought him back on the sideline. And in those 3 weeks, we have given up an insane amount of points, whereas Sean Payton's side of the football hasn't been the greatest. But last week, we were winning 21-3. And then all of a sudden, the defense just could not stop a breeze. So I get what people want to do because Sean Payton was kind of outwardly spoken saying Nathaniel Hackett was terrible. He sucked. He did. Like, that is a fact. Like, if any, for you to not, like, if you're a Broncos fan and if you have any feelings of wanting Nathaniel Hackett back, I'm taking your fan card away. Watching every game last season was an experience that felt like I was driving nails through my eyes every game. At least this time, Russ looks semi-decent and the offense can sometimes play. And we had a kickoff return, which is always awesome, no matter what. Like, that's just cool, getting a kickoff return. It didn't feel personal. You know what it did feel personal, though, was our last head coach, Vic Fangio, before Hackett was the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. And I know he tuned in on the offense a little bit. He was like, no, keep scoring. Keep scoring. I actually like Vic Fangio. I kind of wanted to keep him one more year, as crazy as that sounds. But yeah, it sucked. That one didn't feel personal. The hockey game did, because people just don't like the city of Fresno, and I don't really blame them, because we're kind of like, if I could put us into like a pocket of style of fan base, we're definitely like Philly compared to the rest of California. We're not nice people. So I don't blame them. But when you're there by yourself and you can't really, you're just sitting there holding the camera and people are cursing at you. It makes sense. It makes sense. I'm not even faulting their fans. Actually, their arena was sick arena, and crazy. Had 2 sheets of ice and awesome stands for the fans to sit in, but just enough. It was like just enough. It wasn't too big. And their fans were rampant. And despite them shitting all over the team that I'm with, it was fun to watch. If I was like a fan, like that was like a great experience. So that one felt more personal, but not as bad. The bus driver, though, he wasn't happy about it. Our bus driver was not happy that they were cursing us out. But that's, yeah, just a terribly bad sports weekend all the way around for me. Hopefully it gets better. If we lose to the Bears next week, we may not
Definitely
win
a loser goes
We may not
home
win a
the
game.
game.
I have a question. For what?
Yeah.
Do you think that having your emotional state be dictated by a bunch of guys running around a field is a wise thing?
Enoch, when I tell you I was sitting there staring at the screen as they scored their final touchdown, and I thought to myself, I am wasting so much energy watching sports that I could be putting into anything else. And I sat there for a good long time and I was like, how about I do this? When I know the team's bad, I just don't watch for a little bit and focus more on other things, unless it's like a primetime game or something. And then if I know the team is good, then maybe I tune in a little bit more. But then I was like, no, that's just being a fair weather fan. I have to watch. I at least have to have it on in the background. And plus, like, you only get 17 weeks in the year of your team taking the field. You might as well just enjoy it for that time. But what I need to do a better job of, I need to have my laptop in my lap working on something if I'm going to be watching this version of the Denver Broncos, because they're not going to do anything good. So I might as well do something good while I'm watching them. So yes, I did think about that. And this time it actually didn't dictate my emotional state as much. Like I said, the hockey game felt a little bit worse because we still had to ride. We had to ride all the way
you
back.
Were in person.
Yeah.
And
And
dude,
just
that
getting
drive back got
tormented.
us. That drive back had to have been rough.
Yeah, because we had
Did you
already
sleep at all?
watched our 2 movies. We watched Step Brothers and Super Troopers going up, and we had no movies for the way back. So we're
You-
gonna prepare better.
I
next
would have
time.
just ripped out. I would have ripped Step Brothers again, a second
I
and a
thought
third
about it.
time.
I thought about it, and like Super Troopers is good. It's like a good cult classic movie, but it's really only like the first 45 minutes that are good, and then after that, it kind of like trails off. So we need to bring some more movies. If you have any movie suggestions of like good comedy movies for a hockey team to watch on their way to a game to get their head right, send them on Twitter.
Fired
and
up.
We'll go from there.
Mighty Ducks.
It's not on Twitter, but fired up. That'll get a team
Oh, is that the
inspired.
cheerleader movie?
Yeah, where the
I
two,
love that
the
movie.
two footballers
Yes.
go. Yeah,
Yes,
camp.
that's a good movie. But yeah, it was a tough week. It wasn't the best, but I'm excited for the rest of the season, and I will be giving out that stream info when I finally get the stream going for anybody who wants to participate in Fresno State and the program we're trying to build. I'm just very excited because I love the game and I love the guys. And even though we didn't play our best, I don't know if I mentioned this, but we had a forward playing goalie. That's why they scored so much. Our actual goalie was injured. I told the guys that before we started recording. I don't know if I said that during that whole thing, but that is why we're not actually just complete garbage. It's just we had a non-goalie playing goalie. So we will get better.
and not nearly as many
will.
lines.
Yeah, not nearly as dude. They had
Dude,
they
that
had like
actually
2
that
full
is
teams.
such a difference because
It is.
I played box lacrosse during the winters, which is like basically you're playing lacrosse on a hockey rink, and have it like playing with like lines and like going in and going out. The amount of like difference between if you're out there on like a multiple reps of going down and back versus if you're just down, back, off, and then you just get fresh legs in there, it's crazy. And so if you're fighting people who just have significantly more bodies than you that they can rotate in and out, you're just going to get gassed. And then when you got a forward and a goalie, I mean, that 18 or 2, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah. We were tired pretty quick, but not every team, because like I said, it is Division II. A lot of these California programs are California. It's not the biggest in hockey, so they're trying to get going. So a lot of those teams will be like us, but this school just happened to be in Irvine, close to the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks have a good program. Before we even got there was kids in a scrimmage, and they looked incredible. Like these young kids, dude, looked incredible. And from that rink, there was 4 NHLers. They had their banners up on the wall in each NHL team they were on. So that rink has already produced NHL talent in California. And I'm sure from watching those kids scrimmage, like there's going to be a lot more. A lot of those kids were looking really, really good. And they couldn't have been older than like 13, and they still looked like fresh. You could just tell their strides look good, good shot, great goalies too. So it'll be cool. California's growing. It is growing. Okay. Ladies and gents, let's move on into more Apex stuff here. We got some more roster mania to talk about, some teams who are disbanding, and some more free agents, as well as some coaches moving around. So let's kick it off. Finn, do you want to hit us with some of the news around the league?
I mean, I'll hit a few, and maybe you can help me with this way because I feel like I'm going to forget. But one of the bigger ones is Fnatic dropped their team minus Yuka F, which is surprising. I mean, kind of surprising. I think that they felt like they probably underperformed, and we know how much of a talent Yuka F is. So them, not just that, but UKF is also like a very large like content creator, so I think that that helps as well. Kind of like Hal, that people view Hal and stuff like that. Um, so interested to see who they end up picking up. I don't know too much about the APAC North scene, so I can't be like, oh yeah, they should pick up this person or this person, but that's okay. One of the things I remember seeing, Keon and Madness officially posted that they are going to be sticking together. If we've mentioned it before, I think we mentioned it actually in last pod that Keon said that he was like they both were kind of looking for a situation, looking for a team, but they also were potentially looking for one, like if they could find the right person. But it looks like they're going to be staying together. Main reason is because of Pro League. So that's official. PvP, I believe, just got announced to Furia or Faria, as Enoch says, and interesting pickup for sure. I especially trying to fill the shoes of what Sea Lion is and was doing for that team. Very interested to see the differentiation and wanting playstyle and opinions. I think that that's probably the biggest thing that PvP has. Is like he has his own like way of how he thinks teams should play, and so hearing that and seeing how Furia ends up reacting and how they end up doing, I'm very interested to see as well. Um, Complexity is also one of them, I think, Wyatt. They have dropped. It's wild. I think we mentioned it maybe on the last pod as well, but like
It was just
tiny
barely.
bit. But
It was when we had to.
we were hoping that there was going to be a little bit more to these stories, but as of right now, it doesn't feel like people are in a rush to figure out who they're going to be playing with, though people have been scrimming on the Olympus, which I think we'll get into later. But yeah, Cody and Luda both LFT, which is crazy but I mean, that team needed a change. Like, I think Complexity as an organization was like, okay, we need something different. I think Monsoon obviously brings the most content wise, and so they kept Monsoon, or at least it's what it seems. He hasn't posted a like looking for a team or left Complexity, so I don't think that he's the one that's leaving. I think he's going to be trying to find two people. So we'll see what ends up happening from there. Did I miss it?
And then the last one I think is 100 Thieves.
You want to take
did
it
you
since
mention
it's
100
kind of personal
Thieves?
to you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100 Thieves has been let go, the entire roster, and so we'll see where that goes. This is a question that I kind of thought of as you were talking about complexity, and I think this applies to 100 Thieves as well. It's like, what do we consider a successful run as a team right now? Because it's so skewed towards the only ones who have won a championship are TSM and Dark Zero. Technically, I guess you could throw in that this roster had won with Kungarna back in the day, but I think there was one player was different on that team. I think it
Yeah,
was
so
Vaxlon.
Vax was
Wasn't
not.
Vaxlon?
Yeah, Vax was playing with a different team. He was playing with CLG, I think, way back then. But it was Vayne. It was Vayne, Omnu,
Mm-hmm.
Scurry.
Vayne, honest, yeah. So when like it does suck because you want to see them do well, and I had them obviously high up in every single prediction I did so far on the show. They were always hovering around there. They obviously get the 40th place. At that point, you got to think, okay, it's time to split it up. And now we have an IGL floating around there, and I don't know if we know how good this IGL is with Onmu. Definitely somebody who's played zone consistently throughout his career and has won things off of it. Can he do it with a different team? And I think that's going to be interesting. But getting back to my main question, what do we think is a successful run? Because I would say Complexity had a decently successful
So
run.
you're saying like are you saying that 100 T shouldn't have been dropped?
No, I'm not saying that. I think it makes sense, especially with how good the
Right.
dojo did, and Timmy's already part of 100 Thieves, so that makes sense. But I'm just saying, would you consider it like when you look back on it, and you look back at some of the teams that we've seen in the past, like for instance, would you consider Lanimals a successful run? I
No.
probably would say no. But would you consider Complexity a successful run? They made it to some
Like
Sundays,
this
right?
this roster of complexity?
This roster of
No.
Complexity, yeah.
No.
You wouldn't consider
I
it?
would not consider
Because they
this
stood.
roster of complexity a like I mean, did they perform better than people were thinking? Yes. But I don't think. I mean, I guess you could say, mate, like in a way, like during pro league, they did pretty well, but they were off and on. Like I don't, and then they didn't do well at land. That's the difference between like an oxygen and a complexity. Is I would say if oxygen right now ended, I would say that team had a very successful run, and the crazy key factor would just be because they did well at land, and that's the only difference really. Because what they both squeaked in on the last day to get to like split two playoffs, I think, and so it's like I don't. It's a good question. Why it's hard. That's a hard question, but I think it's just like you have to look at it
That
and be like, was it or was it not, type of deal.
See, this is why I asked. What would so your only barrier to entry is like, do you do good on a LAN? Because I was kind of considering and factoring in the length of time that you're together as a team and how many times you played or like how many times you played well together. Now, LAN is obviously a big one, but Complexity stayed together for a decently long time. Like all things considered, when it comes to how long rosters stay together in this league, but they seem to do okay. I would like I don't know. I thought it
I mean,
was
they're top
decent.
20 in A,
I would probably,
which is good. I
yeah,
mean,
right. So that's got to
it depends
count
on
for
your
something.
perspective, right? Like, what do you? I mean, yeah, okay. It comes down what do you think is successful? So, I know
Well,
it's
that's why I'm
hard. It's
asking you. Like,
hard. That's a hard
like,
question.
I think that's actually a really good question to discuss though. Like, what would you consider successful? I think that another factor why I kind of play like, fuck. I'm just saying random words now. Another reason I look at Complexity and I say that was successful was I think Cody kind of came out of nowhere and he was able to kind of solidify himself as somebody who people can look at and be like, that's a decent player. I think the same thing was said for Luda. People already kind of knew who Luda was based on his time with Nick Merckx, but then he was able to go somewhere and more establish himself on his own without that name attached to him and be like, hey, I can still perform here as well. I think I consider that in the back of my mind when it comes to like success. Uh, but maybe success is the wrong word. Maybe underrated run, maybe might be like a better one. They weren't ever, the world beater, but
I
they had some
personally,
good times together.
I would not describe. I mean, I'm like one of the biggest Cody fans out there. And I think that he individually during this has shown himself to be a phenomenal player. Criminally slept on in some of these tier lists that are being put out. But I would have to say that I don't think that this would be viewed as a successful complexity run, because if you look at it as the complexity of Monsoon, Luda, and Cody, they as a team had their moments where I think they had a few online tournaments where they were performing and popping off and doing really well. But outside of that, when you look at their land performance, they didn't show up and they didn't perform in the way that they would need to in order for me to say that they had a good run. And then if you even get into the fact of the reason that they were able to make it to the two land performances that they did make it to, you could make the argument that it was more so phony that had to do with getting them those points, playing with Luda and Cody to earn them, more so than the team of Monsoon, Cody, and Luda. And so we've seen that like Phony is an exceptional IGL, and he showed that with Luda and Cody, and now he's continuing to show that with FaZe. And now we're seeing I was like, okay, well, if you only look at it from Cody, Luda, and then the addition of Monsoon, they had some good tournaments, but for the most part, they did not perform in the way that you would expect to call it a good run, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think maybe that's where I'm getting mixed up on is I look at those few good tournaments and I'm like, okay, that was good considering nobody else has really won it. But I guess there's no, not I guess. There's 100% a good amount of teams who have, if they were to end right now, you would probably still say they had more success.
No, yeah.
I
Okay,
don't know.
this
I guess
iteration
I
of
like their story.
100T, I would say was they reached their potential. They reached what, like, they did what they were supposed to do, I guess. I would say mainly the reason why, I mean, this roster got signed, late 2021, right? No, yeah, right? I'm pretty sure late 2021 going into 2022 because they made the swap from to Vax from Vayne after they won. So it's like this team has been pretty, I would say they were successful in their own right, like in their own expectations, in their own, like, because they placed well in lay-in tournaments. Like they have done probably more of what people were thinking that they were going to do, which is not necessarily fair, but it's like, in my opinion, I think 100T is more successful than complexity. Like I don't think that, yeah, 100%.
Like overall?
I also think that that's not necessarily the most fair because 100T's been together for like 2 years, complexity been together for like 6 months. So it's like it's a little bit more. It's like hard to gauge. It really does depend on a few different factors.
Okay, so,
but I will say to speak on the Omnu thing, I think Omnu is gonna find a pretty decent team, and I think he's gonna be pretty successful. I think he's proven that he can win a tourney. So like, though it was online, he won a large tournament, and so that being in a regional finals. For those that don't know, whenever it was back in COVID, there was no like world champs. So it reminds me a lot of the RKN, like with Sentinels, where you know what you're going to get with him, where you're going to be playing pretty heavy zone, and like that's pretty much the strict strategy, playing like like third best spot, second best spot, rotate early, all that type of thing. So little side tangent, but I think Amu is actually going to be pretty successful whenever I think he gets 2 rollers. I think he's going to want to play with 2 rollers, right? Like it just makes sense. But sorry, I cut you off, Wyatt. What were you about to say?
No, I was just so Liquipedia has this cool thing where they put together Apex Legends Global Series 2022 to 2023 rankings, and it puts together all their points from Split 1 playoffs and Split 2 playoffs and combines it. And Complexity sits at 22nd out of 53 on this list, and 100 Thieves sits at 18th out of 53. So they were both middle of the packish.
You can say meh.
Around there. Yeah, it's like a meh. Which I guess, I mean, so you want to hear the top 5?
Wait. That's what I was going to say. Let's guess them. Enoch, you go first.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them are super easy.
Combined points from Split 1 playoffs and Split 2 playoffs.
I mean, XSET has got to be.
Okay, go top 3. Go
At the
top 3. Or excuse me, top 5. Sorry, just go for it. Yeah.
Top 5? All right,
Yeah.
so and it's just combined from Split 1, Split 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
XSET, TSM, Dark Zero, NRG.
Gosh, damn.
And
I'll
then
give you a hint.
one more.
Number 5 is not an NA team.
But
I wasn't even considering
we were
not
talking
teams.
NA. Oh.
It's
Oh,
all.
I get it.
It's all.
I was not even. Okay, I'll go Alliance.
You fucking nailed it.
No, hold on.
Except.
Wait, did he get the teams right?
Go ahead. Every team you got
Didn't get
correct.
the order right.
Let's go!
He didn't get the order right on
I'm
one
nasty.
thing. On one thing, he got all the
So
order
I would
right
go
except for
TSM. Well,
he
no,
has to flip one.
yeah, I would go TSM, DZ, NRG, XSET, then Alliance.
Your order was all messed
No!
up, but you got the teams
Enoch
right. So,
wins. Enoch
so
wins.
where
Enoch wins.
missed
All right.
it, he put XSET first and TSM second. It was TSM first, XSET second. So it goes TSM, XSET, Dark Zero, NRG, Alliance.
Man, I'm clean. I'm
Enoch
clean.
nailed it. He nailed it. It's actually crazy though, because first place is TSM with 920, second place XSET 680. like,
Wow.
like just straight up so many points off. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. I would love to hear what people think about what they would consider a successful run too. That is an interesting question. Considering there's only been 2 champions, I want to know what a successful run is. I mean, XSET's got to be up there. Energy's got to be up there. Would you consider Moist
I would
a
say
successful run?
XSET. Wait, who?
100%.
Moist.
FaZe? Moist? Oh, 100%.
Okay. Ascend? No, we don't consider that.
Yeah, why would say
would
no?
Well, now that you mention him, FaZe, would you consider FaZe?
Ascend got wait.
Ascend is a successful team.
You whoa.
I
Dude,
don't know.
they had one bad land.
Hold up. It is criminal that we're gonna let Wyatt say that Ascend, who placed second,
Not even a team anymore.
they got a second. Wait, didn't they get second in the land when they lost to TSM?
Yes, no.
They got
no,
second
They
that
got
land.
That fight
third.
too.
Yeah, I think NRG got second.
Okay, but
It doesn't
anyways,
change.
third, and he was gonna say that Complexity had a good run, and that
I stand by it.
Ascend didn't,
I
with
stand
a
by it.
third place finish at land.
Listen,
Hello,
They didn't get a single
hello,
kill. A single kill. A single kill
on Sunday.
on Sunday.
Did Complexity make it to that Sunday?
I don't remember.
Dude,
they?
I don't
Actually,
think they
so.
did. I don't think they
I
did.
don't think so.
Let me click on it.
If they did, they did. They
Finals.
No, that's just like the most egregious. If Wyatt is going to
no.
say that
I
Ascend
know.
didn't,
I know. Wyatt's being
Complexity
they
is a
didn't.
good
They
team.
bro.
Wyatt is just being twisted off of his hate.
That's okay. That's okay.
Off of the
Not me.
0 kill day. It's okay.
Couldn't be
Everybody,
me.
it happens to the best
Okay.
of us. Consumed by
Going
it.
back to FaZe though, because you guys roasted me for my FaZe. Would you consider them a successful run if it were to end right now?
Good question. That is a good.
I was
That's
yeah.
a tough one.
They got top 5s either way. They got fifth and 6th.
Is it in the past 2?
They
Something
got.
like that.
Didn't they get 4th and 6th? Or no?
I'm saying
Am I
the
crazy?
phase of Phony, Frex, and
Yeah. So
Snipe.
Down.
That's
Yeah, so
definitely.
they got 5th and 6th.
if they
yeah.
ended today, it's a good run.
that's it. That is
Okay, so
definitely.
you guys
Yeah.
wanna
I mean,
guess where
yeah.
they
I don't
were?
think it's. I don't think it's a question that it's a successful team.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to guess where they're at on this list of the combined points?
Because I'm trying to think. Split.
You're making it seem like
Split-
it's way
split-
worse, and so I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe 12th.
I think.
It was 11th, tied for 11th. You could call
Okay,
them
but that's
12th
also. Wait,
because
are you
they're
saying
tied
this counts for
300.
what? This is overall points. This is overall what?
Overall points. So this is total. So it says playoff points according to their standings. So
it's
they're
like
tied
overall
with
points.
KCP
Yeah.
with 300.
To be
Yeah.
fair, the split one that didn't help that they didn't make it to LAN. So like,
And they still
that's
managed
what I'm
to
saying.
climb all
Like
the way
their
up
split
to
2 was amazing.
11th on
Obviously,
this
with
list.
the change. Split 2.
I wish
plus
they would add
like,
in the-
It's like, you know what I'm saying? They've only been to 2 lanes as a team, and they've done really, really well. So yeah, they're successful. I mean, that is no
I
doubt.
wonder if they added in the points from champs on this list.
I think it
that'd be
is,
so
bro.
sick.
It have to be, right?
And no, it just says split 1 playoff, split 2 playoffs.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then that makes sense that they would only be there. Wow, that makes the 100T feel a little bit worse, actually. But that's a great
Interesting
question,
question,
Wyatt. I'm
though.
glad you asked that. Thank you.
Honestly, I want to see what people think. I really want to know what people consider like success based on, because when I said it about complexity, it was more just the storylines around it, as well as they did have some good tournaments, but you could easily say, like you guys refuted, like it wasn't that successful. It makes a lot of sense. But I would like to hear what people do think about that. Because I don't like, do you think, maybe they do. I was gonna say, do you think Cody and Luda and Monsoon look back at that and be like, man, that wasn't that great?
Dude, it's a lot harder. Like, I think you need to give them time before they do that, or they may already have their answer. Like if they already just knew, that's like,
Yeah, that's
I don't
what I'm
know.
saying.
But sometimes it is harder
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that moment to be like, yeah, that was successful or that wasn't successful. Like I've had times in whenever I played back in the day, I'd be like, that was a terrible team. That was not successful. And then I look back at some teams and I was like, all things considered, we did pretty good. So I would say that was a success. So it's really, some of it you have to give it some time. Some people may just know, like it's just not good. Like when Me Kupski and Z Davis played in a regional championship, not successful, not a great 3 months of my life. But
we had to bust out the Mirage.
I busted out the Mirage. It was that bad. It was terrible. It was really, really bad.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, that should just about do it for all of the roster mania stuff right now. Not too much to talk about as far as where teams are going. Like right now, all we can really say is all these players are pretty good in their own right, and we really can't say too much until they join a team. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to see how the team fits, where they go, whatever it may be. Luckily, we didn't have a team drop out of Apex this week. That feels good. That feels like a lot more positive than I was last week. So that's a good thing. We're going to hit a quick ad and send it on down to our interview. And then on the other side, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk Olympus, because that map may be coming to an ALGS screen near you. We're going to hit a quick ad, interview, then Olympus. Let's go. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Liquid Tiffa, hopping on the show for the very first time. Tiffa, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
We are hanging. We are chilling. And actually, we got into a little bit of a discussion that we wanted to save before this pod. You had mentioned before that you live in Vegas right now for over a year, right?
About a year, yeah. It's going to be a year next month, yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about that, and I think it's the best way to kick off the pod. You told me that my favorite hotel in Vegas is haunted, and I want to hear the story of why. I'm a big Luxor guy, and I was talking about how the last time I went, I wasn't able to shower because in Vegas, like the water pressure couldn't get high enough up to give me a shower. But you said it was haunted. I want to know what's going on with the Luxor. Tell me the story.
Well, I don't really know like the full in depth. I kind of know like it kind of broken down. So just a fast-paced story. It's a very cheap hotel to stay in, but I believe their balconies only come up to like your chest, so they're not like up to like standard or up to code. Yeah, so I guess like a lot of people kind of, toppled off of it.
Okay.
And so
in Vegas, gotta be.
Yeah.
There's got at least a handful.
And in a lot of the rooms too. I actually had my friends who stayed there that actually came to visit me. I think it was earlier this year. Jalen, she stayed there and she was like, I just kept getting a weird feeling I was being watched the whole time. She's like, it's fucking scary.
I will say this about the Luxor. It's dark as shit in there. Like the whole time. It's always dark. You never know what time it is. I think that's just a Vegas thing though. Yeah. And then also, there is that human body exhibit on, I think, like the second floor, where if you go inside, it's real human bodies that have been preserved, and they just have them there. And my dad made me go, and that could be it. Like it could be those.
You stayed there after by choice?
Yeah, I didn't like the skin was so weird, dude. I didn't want to stay, but honestly, Carrot Top though.
Me with that.
Hey,
you're weird for going back there. You knew about it and you went back.
I
liked it. Carrot Top. Dude, Carrot Top he performs there. You got to go see Carrot Top. Dude.
What is that?
Carrot Top,
what does that even
awesome.
mean?
What does that have to do with your suspect hotel
I didn't
choices?
feel haunted. Now I might. Like now I'm going to go there and I might feel a little bit
Why
haunted.
Are you going to go there?
Personally,
I like it.
I'm a very superstitious person and I can see ghosts, so I would not want to do that.
You can see ghosts, so
I
you've
can.
seen ghosts in the past.
What's the
Yes.
yeah?
The
What, I
talent
want to
and the
hear.
skill. Okay, we got to get the breakdown.
I want to.
Okay.
I want to hear the craziest story.
The craziest story is when we were younger, me and my cousin, we always like heard voices in my old house, right? We would hear a phone ringing and there wouldn't be a phone ringing and we'd be like, what is this? A brand new house, by the way, right? So one day we were just like, we left our phone in our room and we decided we were like ghost hunting because we were like, okay, like this is weird. We decided to walk into like the hallway, and while we're going down the hallway, it's pitch black, by the way, at night. We see a mother and her two daughters standing right by my mom's room, and she has her hands over them, like
You
like on
both
their
saw it?
shoulders, both of us, yes. And then
my God.
on the recording on the phone, you hear is, "Should we scare them?" No.
Oh my God.
I know, we were
Like,
just
seriously?
traumatized, dead ass. We were traumatized from that day after, and
That's fair.
then the door would open on us, like my bedroom door would open on us, and one day we thought my little brother was in the room, right? No draft, no AC, no windows were open in the house, and the door just creeps open. We were like, we thought it was my little brother. My little brother's name is Bar. We were like, Bar, like, stop messing with us. And the door just creeps open more. And we're looking, and no one's there. And then the door just keeps creaking and opening more. And then we just, like, screamed for our lungs. This happened when we were, like, 12. We were in the corner of our room, all huddled up, screaming behind a blanket. It's just, like, it was just scary. But
That's crazy.
I have so many more stories I could say. It's just,
I want to hear more too, because when you said that, I have had similar experiences where I remember one time I was in the family game room, which was a huge room in the back of the house, and I would always fall asleep in there because I never really had an issue. And this was like a house we were renting and we weren't there for very long. So I was like sleeping in the back. And I remember I was laying down, and you know that like area of sleep where you're kind of still awake, but you're just about to like go to sleep. Like you're kind of there. I just remember I'm laying down on the couch and I just felt something weird. And I just kind of opened my eyes like really slowly just for a moment. And inside that game room, there was a bathroom. It had its own bathroom. And I saw a man in a brown suit, like complete brown suit. No face. He had no face. It was just like darkness. He was just walking like sideways towards the
Slenderman.
window. Yeah. But like this was like a badly dressed Slenderman because he was wearing a brown suit, not a black suit, just not fashion, no fashion sense whatsoever. And so he was just walking over and he just left. And then at that moment, I completely jolted out of my chair, never slept in that room ever again, barely like ever entered that room ever again. It's crazy. And then the same thing happened to me with like a door creaking thing, except it wasn't that it was creaking. I saw like a little like, I don't know if it was just a girl. Her face was covered with her hair. She was like hanging on the towel rack behind the door. And I like I had shut the door, saw that, reopened it to look at it. Wasn't there, obviously. And I was like, oh my God. So that's crazy that you brought that up because I've had similar instances where those exact things happen and it feels weird at the time. I want to hear, do you have another one?
You're actually bold for going back and trying to see if she was still in there.
I know. I don't know what my problem was at that time.
It's like the movies that happen. It's just like, don't go in there, and then the person goes in there. You're like, well, there he goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Do you have any other major ones before we move on? Because this is actually probably the hottest start we've ever had to a pod ever.
Oh yeah, I have. I'll save the best one for last, which is why I do what I do now. But so when I was younger, I was in 8th grade. I was taking notes, and on the projector, like my teacher had the projector screen up, and she was writing it down. I don't know if you remember those big thingies, like not the new projectors, but the old ones with the little screen.
Of course.
Yeah.
The ones
Yeah.
that
With the
you
light
go right
underneath
on
it.
with the
Yep.
different colored markers.
Yeah.
And the,
Yeah.
Classic.
Exactly. So she had one of those, and I was taking notes, and then I was like, I see like a figure by the screen, like about to pull the screen up, and I was gonna say like, no, don't pull it up. Like I'm not done taking notes, right? So I was like, oh, I'll probably just finish just a couple of last sentences. I'll remember it by just looking up once. And I was like, okay, like I didn't even say anything. I was just talking to myself. And all of a sudden, the projector screen goes up, right? And my teacher turns around and I look up because it was just very harsh and drastic. Like, you know, when you pull up a screen wrong, it just smacks the top. It was very loud. And then I look up and she's like, oh, there must be a ghost in here. And then I literally look and I was like, dude, I literally just saw a figure and my teacher was sitting in her chair. No one got up in the class. I was like, there is a ghost here. Like, don't fuck with that. There is literally a ghost in here.
That
So
is crazy.
Okay, so the
That's-
big
Oh my
question
God.
now is, when are we getting the IRL YouTube content of Tifa
Ghost hunting?
no, automatic no. I'm telling you right now, like it is really bad. I even tell my boyfriend right now, like every time we watch a scary movie, I need to watch something after that, like happy, because if it's like I watch something scary and I still have that thought in my mind, it'll follow me to my sleep where I will get a dream inside of that dream of another dream inside of that dream, and I need to scream to pull myself out of every single one because they're gonna just try to fuck with me in my sleep. Like it's just nightmare after nightmare after nightmare.
Okay,
So
understandable why there will
yeah.
be no ghost hunting content.
No.
That
You
makes
do
sense.
you. You do
It's
you.
it's very scary.
No,
it's very-
I
it's like-
I do not doubt you at all.
You
I'm
open up
personally,
a
I'm
doorway
not
and they
a scary
fuck with you
movie
forever.
enjoyer. Not a scary movie enjoyer myself. I have to either
Yeah.
be the guy that's super ridiculously annoying and just has to laugh at everything, or I just can't do it. And so I just be laughing the whole time and just ruin it for everybody. But I
Yeah.
prefer to just not put myself in that situation and just avoid them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like,
best
how
to do
often
it.
are you watching scary movies, knowing that this might happen to you? Are you still like ripping them all the time?
I don't rip them all the time. I probably watch them like once every other month, once every 2 months, something like that. Nothing too like daily. God
Yeah, that's
forbid.
fair. Probably good for
I
the
got
mental
that.
health, no doubt.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right,
Yeah,
my last story.
No,
You
yeah,
wanna hear
give
this?
me another one. Give me another one.
Okay, the reason why I wear socks, right, to sleep, and almost all the time, okay, I got my feet pulled in the middle of the night by a ghost. I would say a demon.
Oh, heck no.
My feet
Oh,
were tucked
no.
under the
Was
sheets.
it in that same house?
It was in my cousin's house, and we've heard stuff in there before, crazy stuff. My cousin would say he has a friend all the time in the house, and he's a baby. He was like 2 years old. He'd be like, "My friend," and he'd point down the hallway. So
Oh, no.
I was sleeping one night, and then you know that, like what you said before, where you feel like you're asleep, but you just don't want to open up your eyes. But so I got pulled out of my sleep, and I'm closing my eyes, but then something is telling me, "Don't open your eyes." My body's telling me, "Don't open your eyes," and then all of a sudden, I feel the sheets being lifted from my feet, and just cold, like utter cold, right? And then all of a sudden, something pulls at my feet, and I literally am sleeping, and it just goes boom, like moves me like 4 or 5 inches, like off the bed, like off my bed, and I just started crying, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I literally ran for my mom. This happened to me in high school. I'm like 15 years old, running for my mom still. Like I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? So my cousin,
honestly,
that same day,
huge props to you for being a functioning, sane person after this absolute, just wild childhood of just supernatural activity. I feel like most people could have like full
You need a
chalked it.
TV show.
I got it from my mom. My mom told me shit like this happened to her when she was younger.
That-
I said, fuck that shit.
That's what I was gonna
Mom.
ask. Like, yeah, like does
Yes.
it run in the family?
Yes,
Okay.
it runs in the family.
Okay.
So, yeah. That same night, my cousin told me I had a dream, and you wouldn't believe it. I was getting water at night. She said this, like, in her dream, she was getting water at night, and she pulled the glass up to drink water, and when she brought it down, there's a girl, like, all in white, standing right in front of her face.
Bro.
There-
That same night, and I told her, I said, you want to know what happened to me? I said, I got my feet pulled in my sleep.
When she told you that, did you have like that moment where like the goosebumps just hit immediately when somebody tells you something that you also experienced at the same time?
Oh,
like
yeah.
like that moment. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about who's listening, but like there's a moment when somebody else experiences something else with you, but they don't know that they did, and then they say it to you, and that moment just hits. That's happened to me a few times as well. Because similar to you, I had a cousin who he would see the same stuff. Not always, but very often we would kind of hear and see the same stuff, and he would say things like that sometimes, and I would have that like instant goosebump, hair on the back of your neck stand up. That's crazy.
It's
That's
insane.
crazy.
It's very insane.
What a hot start to the podcast.
Right?
Yeah,
Hey,
no
what a hot
doubt.
start. What a hot start. All right, well, let's move off the ghost stories for a little bit. Maybe we revisit them later if they come back up, but it doesn't matter. Tifa, we got to get into your entire streaming career and how exactly you got into this spot. I'm sure, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations along the way. Kind of go through your experience and how you got into streaming and how you got to where you are now.
It's a very like nice story actually. I've been playing video games since I was 5. And I've always loved video games. I played 007, I believe it's called GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64.
Fire game.
Very, very fun. Used to play that on a 22 screen inch TV with all my siblings, and we used to hide in the little bathroom. If you know, you know. And then started playing Forza, Motorsport. Eventually got into COD, and then after COD, played Fortnite, and then after Fortnite, Apex. So, yeah, I started streaming because of my little brother. My mom would tell him to get off of he used to play like competitive Fortnite back in the day. So he used to stream. My mom used to tell him, "Hey, like it's time to do homework." And he used to get really sad, and he used to be like, "Can you stream so I can watch you play Fortnite?" So I was like, "Okay." Like, I didn't think of it of anything seriously. So he was my only viewer for a really long time, for about a couple months now. Him, and then like we used to have like e-pals like from high school. So him, and then I had an e-pal named Darren who would always watch my streams. So it was he came along after a little bit. So then they were like my only two viewers for a while, and I just kind of like fell in love with YouTube, like streaming and everything, and I kind of loved YouTube for a little bit. Like I tried to be like a YouTube like creator. But that didn't really work out. It just is kind of different. So it was a hit or miss for like my content. After I got into it, it's I started taking it seriously after like in 2019. So I used to stream from my Xbox to my MacBook, and it's a MacBook Air, by the way, with an Elgato.
That's how was that? Because that's not. I mean, you had to use probably an Elgato, yeah.
Yeah, I used an Elgato.
My
HD60.
gosh, to your MacBook Air. I mean that
My
that
MacBook
RAM
Air.
had to
That's
been.
just respect.
I mean,
that's just you gotta get the job done,
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. The computer itself was probably 3,000 degrees whenever you were
Did you
doing
have it on
that.
ice?
No, I actually had a big ass fan right behind it. So
You got that is funny.
I know people are like, from a MacBook Air. I'm like, yep. I really wanted to stream. That's when I kind of wanted to take it seriously, and I was like, okay, like I really like this. I want to make my stream better. Like, I want to make the quality better. And my brother gave me his hand-me-down PC, and it was I think it was a Ryzen 3700, something like that, with a RX 560. And that's what I had like my first streaming PC. Used that for a little bit, and then I built my first PC, which I still have now. And it had a 2060 Super and an i7 in it, and that was like my first like whoa, my first ultimate PC. But yeah, before 29, like the year of 2019, I kind of no, it was after. So I started taking streaming seriously, and then I kind of stopped for a little bit. I had friends who would like discourage me, tell me like, "Oh, like you're just a female, that's why you get views. Like, you're not actually good." And I was like, "What? No, I promise. Like, I actually play kind of good. Like, I could be better than I could beat you." Let's be honest. In the past, I really wasn't that good. But still, like, looking back then compared to now, like, the growth has been insane. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
No one would really expect it, but I just continue on my path. And I said, fuck everyone that doubts me. Kind of kept my head straight. And then just kind of follow your dreams type of thing. So I eventually was looking to join an org, got multiple org offers, and I'm here today.
There you go.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go. That's awesome. I did want to revisit the people kind of going at you for being a girl and having like them going at you and saying, "Oh, that's the only reason you're getting viewers." As somebody who probably, I mean, we already kind of figured out how badly you wanted to do this. You're streaming from a MacBook Air. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's all you needed to say
That's
to them.
grit.
But yeah, that's just
Absolute
grit. That's
just
determination.
a gritty play.
Yeah. But when you hear that, it's got to be super frustrating, like, and discouraging, because it's like, okay, I'm putting in the amount of work that like a lot of other people out there are just not willing to do, and I'm getting, like minimized because of, my gender. It's got to be super frustrating. Kind of go through your feelings with that entire thing, and how you kind of combated all of the negativity around, being a woman streamer in today's age.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I still get those comments today, till this very day. I have over 10 comments every single stream. It's not something that just goes away or you can ignore. And I've talked to many other like women streamers as well, and they just say like it does get tiring, but sometimes it just gets people just start saying the same thing over and over and over again, and then you just look at chat, you just be like, things are just never gonna change. So you don't get used to it. You just like kind of give up. It's just like okay, like to them, like I'm still never gonna be enough, no matter how hard I try. So it's like at the same time, I start to play ranked more and get out of my comfort zone, start playing with other streamers, start posting YouTube content. It's always the same thing. Oh, you're a woman. Or, oh, your boyfriend's a pro. It's like, no one's ever going to credit you, especially if, like, being a woman in this industry, it's very hard. No one's ever going to credit you for your hard work. Ever. And it's just very difficult. It's heartbreaking is the right word. Because, like, this industry is literally blood, sweat, and tears. It's literally put on a smile in your worst days and it's literally the fake it till you make it mentality. And that's just the best way I could put it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of days where, just like everybody else in the world, there's a lot of days where you probably don't want to go live. Like there's days where it's probably tougher than others. Maybe the content is dry, the games aren't out that you want to play. It's not as fun. It's not as exciting. What about those? How do you kind of get through those kind of days? Have you been trying to test out different types of content, or maybe just flirting with different ideas to kind of keep things fresh, especially when, right now, I don't know if you feel this way, but I kind of feel like gaming as a whole is a little bit stale. But how do you combat those kind of days?
Well, when I feel like gaming is stale, I think of other ways because I have two YouTube channels actually. So I do one with like IRL content, traveling, just fun stuff, and trying to lean out of like, okay, just streaming video games type of thing. So I just kind of do that, and then I just look for ways to do other content on YouTube and just kind of mess around and have fun because it sounds very like excuse me, like fucked up to say, but Apex isn't gonna be here for a very long time. It's not going to be here forever. So, and I tell everyone this, like streaming is not going to be here forever. You need to find ways to branch out, make a name for yourself. Just do whatever you want, have fun with it. Because we're not going to be here for a long time. You can't go streaming until like you're 50. You need to make the most of it, have fun, do the stuff that you've been wanting to dream about doing with content. That's just how it is. Like, yeah, you can be like Shroud and you can play other games. Like, you make it that big, good for you. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like saying like, hey, like you're not gonna make it, but it's just like the fact of like if other games come out, you know what I mean? And you're like, let's say like you're Timmy skilled, Timmy. This man can play every game possible known to man. He's just insane at it. That's a good example. But it's just like have fun with content while you're here, which is like, the vlogging aspect of it. For example, Clara, she does IRL streams. Like that's just beautiful, fun work. Just seeing like friends out having fun and everything and traveling. That's just how you try and keep it fresh.
So which content do you enjoy doing more? The IRL stuff or gaming?
I enjoy both equally.
Okay.
Is both tie, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I travel on behalf of like Apex too, and I could say there's a fair share of like the Apex community as well. Like they like to see what their streamer is doing, like in real life. They genuinely love to. I have people telling me in my chat all the time, or you'll see Bree's content or Clara's content because like we've been dabbling in a bunch of IRL stuff and posting it on YouTube. They're like, wow, this is what I like to see. Or like they have, like for example, like my boyfriend Cole, like Fade. They'll be like, wow, like we love to see Fade like actually like going out having fun. It's amazing to see what he's doing during his free time. And it's stuff like that that's just like memorable to them as well. Like the community not only likes to see just gaming, like they like to see both sides of everything. They like to see them doing everything else because it's also like it's healthy at the same time. Like having that balance. Because too much of one thing can just tip you over.
It makes it where there's like a humanizing aspect to it as well. Like you're not just a Apex streamer, right? Like you're like, for example, I was gonna bring it up, but like you and your mom making like having that cooking stream, and it's just like, okay, there's like that's like a humanizing thing. Like people can be like, oh yeah, that's what Tiffa was doing. Also, you and your mom are literally twins. Like it's actually insane.
I was about to say, I was gonna say, there's zero doubt, absolutely zero doubt that you are her daughter. Just like, it's actually crazy. When I saw the video on Twitter, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
How?
She actually switched shirts that day too to match me.
So it's like a double. I mean, I remember tweeting at you and saying that was the first time I think ever that I've never seen a mom and a daughter look so similar. And I was gonna ask you how many times you've been asked if you are like twins with your mom or like sisters with your mom.
Oh, all the time.
That's insane.
All the time. And if you see my cousin too, people ask if we're twins, so we look alike too.
The cousin with the weird house, or
yeah, the cousin with the weird house. Yes. People ask her if me and her are more twins. I'll get her. I got her on stream once before. I'll get her on stream again sometime soon. But people ask me, "Is she your sister?" And then my sister standing next to me, she's like, "No." So we just go along. We're just like, "Yeah." But if I were to show you guys how my mom looked when I was younger, you'd be like, "Whoa!" Like you guys look identical now. It's crazy. So
she also had just
pasta.
Yeah, she also just had a legendary clip of just almost destroying the entire stream by pouring water all over everything. Which I think if you haven't checked that out, you need to go check that out because it was hilarious. Oh shit! I just lost my question. By the way, you can't cuss. Yeah, and go ahead, Enoch.
Okay, I wanted to touch back on the all of the comments of really people not like giving you the credit that you deserve. And so have you gotten to a place where you just don't care?
Where I don't care if people make comments, or
where just because I felt like in my journey through content that I wouldn't I don't think I'd be able to be the person and the creator I am if I cared about the opinions of like random people online who I'll never really have any sort of relationship beyond like the one interaction on on a screen. And so I've always found that like for me, like I won't be able to be the person who I am if I care about all of these people's opinions. Like I only have so many, there's only so many things that I can care about in a given day. And I just cannot allow one of my few cares that I have to be given to some random anonymous username behind an account or just anybody who I've never really interacted with before. And so I was wondering if you've gotten to a point where like you talked about how you accepted the fact that it was always going to be there. And that was like a common thing that you had talked about with other women. I was more so just wondering if you guys, well, like you as an individual had gotten to the point where you just don't care.
It's very hit or miss. Like, we're only human. We can't block everything out. There are days where things will affect you more than others. More things like people say will affect you more of what others say. So it's not like you could just tune it out all the time. Like there are things that will affect you. And it sucks to say that, but it's true. Like, what's a person with no feelings? So, I mean, it's the best way I could put it, really.
That's fair. No, that was really well put.
It kind of just depends on the day. Like, some days it's easier than others. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I want to get into a Apex question.
Okay.
Something that you've always done, or at least ever since I've known you, is you do the best out of game but in game like movement.
Oh god.
Like for those that don't
The
know,
IRL movement queen, as some have said.
Yeah, it's like she is the most immersed individual in the game that she is playing, where she will be moving her head right, left, like her whole body, upper body, everything is just so locked in that is as if she really is that wraith that is running away from a team aping her. Like it's just she has the best IRL movement. And so I wanted to get into that. Has that just been something that you've always done, or like maybe a learned thing, or like do you even notice that you're doing it?
I noticed that I'm doing it. It's actually started happening when I started playing Forza. So that was like years ago. When I mean years, I mean years ago. So it's ever since I've been playing controller, like, like, for example, my controller, just like little twitches and stuff like that. Or like when I'm dodging, I'll be like, oh, like I just tuck my head under. So it's really hard to not do it, but people are just like, it's nice to know like another person moves like me, like in game. It's not something I practice, or do on purpose. Like people are just like, why does she move so much? I'm just like, I just genuinely can't help it, So that's something. I actually get made fun of a lot for doing that. So
it's just a personality trait of yours at this point. It's just like a very staple thing that you have. So it's okay. I think it's hilarious. I think a lot of people think it's hilarious too. So just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And if people say they don't do it, they're lying, because I don't do it when I play Apex, but I definitely do it when I play Rocket League. I'm moving left, right, center, especially when I'm trying to hit the ball in the air. Like I'm always moving in Rocket League. So everybody does it. I think it just depends on which game you're playing. Especially
and to the
like a horror game
of which people are moving.
Yeah.
Or have you seen Peep do it? That's funny.
Peeps, yeah, I was gonna say it's between you and Peeps in the Apex community on who has the IRL. That's definitely like the two top contenders, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay,
funny.
so you mentioned controller, and then you also mentioned your development as a player. And in Apex, we're seeing a trend of more and more people swapping from M&K to roller, and you're somebody who has made the switch from controller to M&K. Can you give us a little bit of the breakdown on what led you to that decision and why you prefer M&K over roller?
So I've had like multiple streamers that like I kind of like skill wise aspired to like look up or I looked up to, and one of them was Imperial Hal because he was really insane, and then another one who just made the switch and was really crazy. I don't know if you guys remember Johnny.
Oh yeah,
Johnny when he was on his M&K arc.
Oh yeah,
he was clean.
Yeah, he was
Man
absolutely.
was a M&K tap strafe abuser ahead of his time.
He was absolutely disgusting. So, I don't know. I felt like I really hit my like peak skill level on controller, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. And like people around me know, and my chat knows, like there's always room to improve. I'm always wanting to improve something every single day on stream, like my aim, my keybinds, something better. Like there's always room for improvement. So I kind of felt like I sucked on the controller. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to learn mouse and keyboard, right? So it did take some time. It's very difficult, by the way. It's not an easy thing to learn. Everyone's like, oh, it's easy. I can learn M&K. I'm like, okay, do it. It's difficult. You need to try and use WASD, crouch, space, swap with weapons 1 and 2, like find keybinds that actually work for you. It's just it's not easy at all. It's very difficult and very, very challenging. Sometimes when I feel like I couldn't hit my shots, or if I sucked, I would try and find my controller to pick it up. I had to give it to my mom and be like, hide this from me. Don't bring it back to me. And so that's how I forced myself to learn M&K. I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to be switching back and forth between mouse and keyboard and controller. So my 3 years on mouse and keyboard is actually coming in a month. So, yeah.
We got a whole anniversary for it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, yeah, because it's something that I'm really proud of, because if I didn't switch, I wouldn't have made like the growth that I have made today. Like I have seen insane improvements in my aim, my movement, everything. And it made the game more fun for me when it was really stale back in the day. So it was a fun learning experience and brought love for the game for me again.
So at
Yeah.
what point were you able to have the controller next to you again?
So I actually brought out the controller I think like a year ago. So I was like, okay, like let me just bring it out for fun. Let me see if I still have it. And I still kind of got it. I mean, I'm better than I was when I first when I left, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I pick it up for fun. I mean, I could one clip people on it very, very easily now, so it's pretty nuts. I will give myself credit on that one.
So would you say your M&K experience has made you a better controller player? Because now you're like, oh wow, this thing is helping that much?
Yeah, no, I definitely say so. I really think so. I don't know if you I've mentioned it before. Clara, she said the same thing. She's like, I switched to mouse and keyboard, came back to controller, and I was better than I was when I left. So that I definitely believe.
Okay,
You mentioned some.
Yo, Wyatt. No, you Wyatt. You go.
No, you go.
No,
you
you
go.
go, Wyatt.
No,
No,
you go.
you go.
All right, I'll go. Okay, so you mentioned some of the stuff that you were working on, and every single stream you come in and you want to work on something different. Is there one part of your game right now that you're really focused in on each stream in and out?
Right now it's just I'm having the mentality of make your aim look like it's controller. So it's just just make it look like it's very crispy, like one clip like it is controller, like you know what I mean? Mentality of okay, people are one clipping on controller. I want that disgusting aim on mouse and keyboard as well, especially up close. Like my up close is people say oh, up close on mouse and keyboard sucks. Like I want that to be one of my biggest strong suits ever. So that's something I'm really working on.
It helps that your boyfriend's also really good at that. So I was going to ask, what all influence has he been able to have on your own gameplay? And does he ever just sit down and watch and be like, yeah, you should do this, or does he give you help, tips and stuff? I don't really know. You might be able to explain the dynamic that you guys have whenever it comes to particularly Apex.
So he helped me learn super gliding. That's one thing I really struggled with. 100%. So he helped me learn super gliding. He helped me learn tab strafing and all that stuff. And mostly it's just I would say I try to fiddle with my sense a lot. So he's just like, don't change it. So he's like reassuring me on my sense. I'm just okay, no, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm just trying to find that perfect sense, but you know what I mean? He just kind of reassures me on that one. But definitely fighting 1v3s 100%. I feel like my 1v3s have changed drastically since I started watching him more, or he started helping me, giving me tips. I'm just showing him a clip I fumbled earlier. I'm just oh man, I should have won this, and he gives me tips okay, here's what you could have done before that or during this. And it's just a same thing for him. So yeah.
So typically this show we bring on some Apex pros, some ALGS pros, guys who go in the league and they tear it up, and we talk to them about ALGS comp, all that type of stuff. And recently, over time, we've seen a lot more tournaments pop up for the women's comp scene, women's pro scene. So I figure, just to throw it out there, is there any plans in your mind to maybe give it a run at comp? And if you would you like to see more resources go towards a women's league for ALGS?
I do plan on, I wouldn't say entering fully. I like to kind of try things out before I like to fully commit to something.
Dabble.
yeah, I like to dabble in it. So like right now, I'm dabbling in the his Watson and his and hers thing. We actually just qualified, so we have our finals on Saturday.
Congratulations.
So thank you, I appreciate it. So it's very hard, like trying to go from kind of listening to an IGL to kind of be an IGL because that's just not something I'm used to. It's very hard to try and put your foot in the shoe for that. So yeah. As for seeing like more women's tournaments, I really would love to see that. I know so many other women as well, um, that are like actually established more in the scene than me. Would love to see that as well. I know that they're trying to make things happen, which is good, and I'm really really excited for um the future for that. But for the saying, I you know what I mean? It doesn't stop women from actually competing in ALGS itself. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so
but
you would like to see more women, like full women teams, like play in ALGS.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because I did see you guys qualified, like what, top 20. So I was gonna have you talk a little bit about Faye and about Snow, if you're up for it, and how
I'm
long
down.
you guys have been playing together in kind of the dynamic of y'all's team, going into this tournament finals.
So me and Faye, before this, we actually only played for about like we played pubs together and everything, but we would only scrim here and there, and I'm pretty sure we only scrim like 3, 4 times before, and then just this month we started scrimming again, so that was like twice. Snow we literally just brought on. So we scrimmed with her twice before before we, I would say like we made some very smart decisions, but we still have a lot of things we need to work on. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, like we're so ready, like we're gonna be shitting on everyone, like like no. There's still a lot of things we need to work on, like the communications, um, you know, comms, and all that kind of sort, and rotating, like all that comes into a factor in the end. Like I'm not saying we're perfect, but we're getting there. So
Usually, why I will ask this question, but I'm gonna ask you: do you prefer World's Edge or do you prefer Stormpoint right now?
definitely World's Edge. Definitely.
Is that more so just like a familiarity you played? I mean, the map's been out for 20, like for what, 3 years now and stuff like that. Is it more so a comfortability aspect of it, or is it more so you just like the way it plays?
I personally I just like the way it plays. But I do feel like there are a lot more end games in my opinion on Stormpoint. I feel like everything is a lot more intense on Stormpoint.
Yeah, yeah, agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Is there any map that you could see, or like a map that you prefer that maybe isn't in there that you would like to see like enter into competitive or some sort of pro scene? Because right now they're toying with Olympus and we don't know exactly how we feel about it. Is there another map that you would probably throw in there instead, or maybe keep Olympus in there?
I would probably keep Olympus in there. Although people say it does suck, damn is it freaking entertaining. I will say that. It is very entertaining. I was in a scrim last week. I don't know if you heard of Viz Scrims, where we were doing Viz Scrims, me and Faye, and then we just decided to do it with our friend Casellos. We decided to do it, and it's pretty funny seeing all these ex pros and some of these pros not know how to rotate properly or get a zone. So that shit is damn near entertaining. I will say that.
That, and it's just such a different map. Like it's so
Yeah.
open. I feel like you have to change just about every way that you approach Olympus. Like you got to change your
Yeah.
legends up, you got to change your rotates, the way you think about rotates. It's just one of those maps where it's crazy, and that's kind of why I like it as a viewer. I mean, I'm nowhere near a pro. I like to watch like the chaos, and I think
Yeah.
Olympus gives us that chaos.
Our casual king.
That's right. That's right.
I'm excited for Fight Night End Zone. I think that's going to be funny.
No. Knowing them, I feel like they, like the devs, I feel like they will try and limit in Fight Night end zones, so try and make it no end zones like how they used to. What's one of the maps that they don't have an end zone on entirely? I think it's Storm Point where they try and avoid end zones.
Well, I know that they have like the
That'd be fair.
certain, yes, like certain areas where it's
That would
like,
be both fair and wise. Definitely the better decision.
I feel like outside of Fight Night, they will. I know there's like, when I think 8 different zone possibilities out there, 9 probably. So outside of Fight Night, definitely. Inside though, I feel like they'll definitely avoid that.
You mentioned IGLing and fitting into those shoes. What has been the biggest thing that you've learned as like in your journey of becoming an IGL?
Biggest thing I've learned in becoming an IGL. I'm still learning till this day. I'm gonna be honest.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
It's trying to be confident in my calls because my teammates, I mean, all love for them. I love you guys if you guys are ever gonna watch this, but you guys are a pain in the ass sometimes, and it makes me very, very sad. they'll doubt my comms, or you know what I mean. I'll tell them, hey, like we should do this, and they're just like they'll 2v1 me, and then they'll be like, no, we should go this way, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna give up on that part. So it's just one thing, like trying to be stern and trying to get them like to follow like what I say as an IGL. It's like a don't let them steal your IGL from you type of vibe. So it's just trying to get them to like believe in me in that type of thing.
trust in the call is huge.
So
Like,
yes, trust.
I mean,
Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure that the longer you are acting in the role and the longer you guys play together, that you'll definitely get to that point, no doubt.
Yeah.
Do you think the confidence
Hopefully.
isn't there because of like they just don't know? Like they're just like they know that you're kind of newer, and so therefore they like are hesitant to on your calls and stuff like that.
That definitely. I don't think so. Like there are people who have been like in comp longer that say like who have complimented me all throughout this week and these past couple of like of months, like since I started scrimming and everything. And like zone calls, for example. We're trying to not be so lenient on a beacon character or scan character. So we're just trying to not do that, memorize zones like by heart, by mind, and that's just something like I've been working on really, really hard by doing that. So about 75% of the time my zone calls will be right or approximate ending of where zones will close. So they'll tell me like, Tifa, like, how do you know that? I don't even know that. Like, okay, are you data mining? And I'm like, no. Like it's just stuff like by playing the game so much you just learn over time. It just burns into your mind. So
would you say you have a specific IGL style? Like we talk a lot about different styles on the show where there's like a HAL approach, which is I would say a little bit more macro.
Stern.
Yeah, definitely stern. And then there's the sweet style where it's very micro, like every single action he's kind of direct. Do you have like a specific style?
It depends on the situation. I'm 100% between both. It depends how much energy I have that day and how much I can put up with. So it just depends on my mood entirely.
So crazy.
Do you have anyone you kind of look after? Like, is there somebody you kind of shaped or tried to shape your style off of, or was it all just kind of off the cuff, on the fly? I'm gonna go by the seat of my pants, see if I can figure this out type situation.
Definitely off the cuff.
There we go.
Yeah, it's just I wouldn't say like I'm learned off of like or try to be like one IGL. It's just like, okay, like what works best for me, because doing what they do all the time, like I would that is mentally draining. I like, especially because like for some teams that are really so new, like some people like for a lot of like the new women like that are like especially getting into comp, your teammates need to at least have some like set skill knowledge already, because they need to at least know like how to approach some fights, when not to approach some fights, like You know what I mean? But sometimes like we turn our brains off, like, but it's just like that one thing. Like, for example, like my teammate, she said she was gonna swing something. I said, don't swing that. Like, like you kind of need to pull her back a little bit. But it's just sometimes in that situation, being in IGL, people don't realize like, okay, let's say like your zone 3 is coming in, you need to know how to rotate. If you're not in circle, you need to wonder what your teammates are doing. You need to see like if they're peeking or anything, or if they're going to be following you on that, or if there's a team following you from the front, there's a team in front of you, and it's just all a clusterfuck. Or if they're low and you're like, it's just there's a lot of factors. It's just too many to explain, but
there's a lot.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, there is a lot
because it's very difficult.
I mean, yeah, like the example of like the ring 3 going in. It's like, okay, if there is a team in front of you, how are we going to rotate around them? Are we taking the fight? Is there other places in zone that are available for us to play? Also, you have to be thinking about zone 2. Like while ring 2 coming in, you see ring 3, and it's like, okay, well, here's a potential spot we could play, and then you have to look and try and get vision, and then you're also directing your teammates to be like, hey, what's your ability? Like, you have Gibeol. Like, it's just there's so much to like manage, and what you're saying is like so correct that it does take a lot of. It's like mentally, it can be very much like mentally draining, and that's why it is so impressive to see all of these IGLs that have had so much success, because they're able to like. It feels like they have like 8 different arms, and I don't know how to explain. Like that's probably not a great like dude mindset. 8 different
like
arms, because they're thinking about so many different things. Like you have to multitask. So like also if something randomly happens in front of you, you get horizon ulted. Like how are you gonna respond to that? Are you shooting it? Are you trying to run away? Like there's just so much that they have to do. And yes, like being a support player or being like a fragger, like in retrospect, it's just a lot more simpler comparatively to like an IGL who's having to actually manage the game, manage a team. It's literally an in-game coach. Like it's just there's so much, and a lot of it comes down to your decision making. Because like if you make a bad decision, it's not anybody else's fault; it's yours. So it's like there's also an added pressure of that as well. So there's just a lot.
100%, I agree. I completely agree.
The 8 arms thing didn't land, I don't think.
No, I think it did. I like the octopus. I like the octopus visual. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think you did good. You did good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I also got Tifa's approval.
You want to hit her with the double tap?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the double tap. So essentially, what this is, I'll give you 5 different statements, and then you try to respond with just one word, like one word answer to it. Okay. So number 1. The most challenging part about competing and doing content creation in Apex?
Sleep.
Perfect. Number 2, your go-to guns when playing ranked?
Or 9.
Perfect. Number 3, best part of Horizon's kit?
Or we pick me up.
Nice. Number 4, worst map in Apex?
King's Canyon.
Number 5, the future of Liquid Tifa?
Successful.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good. So that actually kind of does lead into my next question. A long time ago in this interview, you kind of referenced that we're not going to be here forever. Apex isn't going to be here forever. Streaming, I mean, we've seen so many different mediums come, and just, my short lifetime, it's been, you've seen all these different things pop up and then go away. Is there a plan? Like, do you have something that you are looking forward to in the next phase, the next chapter of your life that you kind of would like to tackle? Is there stuff you've been looking at? Have you thought ahead that far? Like, is there anything that you kind of would like to do when this streaming chapter is over?
I would like to stream for as long as possible. I think you know what I mean. And I want to be successful at streaming. And I eventually want to start dabbling in like unboxing videos, technology videos, and just vlogs, and just having fun with it and all that sort. So for like my friends and my family that know me, like I do love technology. I do love technology and electronics and everything, and cameras. They're all so fascinating for me. So just I don't know if you guys ever heard of iJustine or like Brittany,
oh yeah.
like Nene,
Oh, yeah.
Nene
I just
Tesseract.
yeah.
Yeah, I love Nene. I look up to Nene so much. So I eventually that's my two like people that I look up to entirely. Like I aspire to be like them one day. So
That's
yeah.
crazy you mentioned iJustine because early days of YouTube when I was like a wee lad, I always would watch iJustine videos, and then I just saw her on TikTok like reviewing the new iPhone, and I hadn't seen her in years and years and years. So it was really cool to see her again. But that's really cool. And you want to hit her with it?
Yeah, but before I hit you with the question I always ask everybody, I wanted to briefly touch on you. You're Turkish, correct?
Turkish, Lebanese, and Palestinian. Yes, yeah.
Oh, so how has that cultural background impacted your journey through content?
Uh, it was very difficult. Very, very difficult. Super difficult. That's, I mean, I don't even know how else to like break it down. It's just like me hiding, like, especially because like I have a background of like Lebanese and like my dad's like from like Palestinian, Lebanese, Palestinian too. Like I growing up, I was very scared to share that because it's just people bullying me, harassing me, and and saying very, very hurtful things towards me. So it's kind of where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I shut that out for a while, but then you grow to know, like, hey, like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be scared, you know? So it was very difficult. It still is sometimes, but very rarely. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, there's nothing you can do about it. Just go on with your life. So
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to see you overcome all of the adversity that you faced on multiple different facets for you to be able to get to the place where you're at today. And this, which leads into my last question, because my last question, because everybody we have on the show is performing in the top 1% of their field, and you certainly fit that description.
thank you.
What is one thing that you've learned along the journey that somebody could take and apply to their journey, regardless of the field that they're trying to become in the top 1% in?
I would say be persistent. You know, it's very hard to try and stick to a schedule. I mean, look at me. Some days I'll take even 3 days off. Or it gets demotivating at times. I mean, I still break down every now and then. I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking be even better than I am today. But one thing that actually a friend of mine, their mom told me, they said you will always be comparing yourself to where you want to be, but you will never see the growth that you made of where you wanted to be before. I don't know if I worded that properly, but but it's like you were let me see if I can word it better. You were looking at where you wanted to be back then and you don't realize where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a little better to say. So just keep going. Never give up. And it's okay not to stay positive sometimes. It's fine. We can have those few little negative intrusive thoughts, but don't let it get there all the way. So yeah. That's about it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this has been awesome, Tiffa. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Yeah,
and,
hold on. We have to say something about the fact that we always record this off stream, and I believe you are our first guest ever to be doing a subathon while we're recording. You put up the extra video in the background. You got people watching that. I just want to say huge thank you for like working around the way that we like to do this and making it work for you in this way. I think it is absolutely just so neat of you to be able to do that and make it work for us. And so sincerely from everybody here, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you a lot. And We'll have to have you back on and talk a little bit more about ghost stories. I want some more ghost stories. I'm gonna
Oh,
be honest.
I'm down. It's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like
There we
we
go.
just scratched the surface of what could be.
Yeah. There's so much more to be explored about that. But Tifa, thanks for hopping on. We'll definitely have you back on in the future, talk some more ghost stories and Apex stuff. And hopefully you got a big tournament, so hopefully you come out on the other side with a trophy from that.
We'll see. I'm kind of tearing myself up about it, but we'll see for now.
We'll be here. We'll be rooting for you.
Just
You'll
make sure
be
you're
there.
having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just have a good time. All right. Thank you
Definitely.
once again.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk Olympus and what we think of what that map may or may not do to ALGS and or Pro League. Boys, Olympus is kind of what I would consider a lightning rod of a map because a lot of people really love it, like myself. A lot of people really hate it, like a lot of people. I don't have like a specific person in mind. Do either of you hate it? Like with a burning fiery
Hate
passion?
it?
No, I think it's kind of fun to play on. I don't know how it's going to work in comp, though. We'll see.
But yeah, it is one of those maps where people don't know exactly how they feel about it. And especially that gets noted more and more and more when it comes to the pros and their opinions. Now, we've had a lot of pros come on the show and say, I'd rather have Kings Canyon. I'd rather have Olympus. Nobody has said Broken Moon. Not one person, I don't think. I may be forgetting somebody, but nobody said Broken Moon. Olympus is a little odd. I think I'm not sure how it's going to go, but this all started because there are going to be some scrim games played on Olympus, which everybody was kind of questioning, being like, what the hell is this? What's going on? I believe Raven was the one who originally tweeted it. TSM Raven, head coach of TSM, he had tweeted something about Olympus being in the scrim block in the upcoming future. So, boys, Olympus, what do we feel?
Well, they are doing scrims. Like, that is 100%. They are doing scrims right now. People are claiming POIs. It's a full thing right now.
It's happening.
It's full on happening. I mean, first things first, I just saw a 1v3 clip of Koifel destroying Oxygen at Energy Depot for their POI. And I was like, first off, Koifel's disgusting. It's an unbelievable. Second off, I kind of low-key like the contest that happened on Olympus. It's just nice to see a contest on a competitive, quote-unquote competitive map that's just different. And for those that don't know, I'm pretty sure somehow, some way, it was talked about that they were wanting to, add some sort of like a new map to the pro pool, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, how long we've been playing World's Edge since 2020 and Stormpoint since it came out too. So I understand that people might feel like it's a little dull, so they're trying to switch it up a little bit, which I am thankful for. I don't know how the players feel completely about it, but I mean, they're doing scrim blocks on it. So overall feeling of the map, and then I'll hand it over to E. Specifically the what would that be? The northwest side of the map. That would be Carrier. That would be like Docks and Pathfinder and stuff like that. That feels very, very close. And I think my overall opinion on Olympus is that it is hard to play that map because it's either super stacked or it's very, very split, and there's not a lot of cover that people can play on. Like, there's not a lot of random cover on the map that we're used to, like, and we're very accustomed to seeing on, like, a World's Edge, a Stormpoint, where it's like, okay, in-game scenarios, like the Ring 3 and on, when the ring's pretty small, there's just not a lot of playable area for a majority of that map. I would say it's about 50-50. And I think that because of that, I don't know how we're gonna do in comp because it can get messy really quick on this map. I've seen 11 squads left in ring 1 is just now closing in. Like, I've seen some pretty rough stuff. Granted, it's just scrims and people are figuring it out, but this map seems to have a lot of snowballing is what I would call it. So That's my overall thoughts on the map. Very interested to see how it continues to keep going. E, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I've honestly never thought about it ever really getting worked into the competitive environment, and it'll be definitely interesting to see how it plays out. Um, Dude, I feel like Phase Drivers just has got to be just the most busted POI, and I think that there's a lot of POIs that are stronger than others, and so it'll be interesting to see which teams end up taking which POIs. As this, like, it's just an entirely new breakdown. It's an entirely new map, and we're gonna see how teams are gonna end up playing it. I haven't watched any of the scrims yet that have been taking place, and so I don't have any amount of like that info to speak on. But I'm excited. It should be interesting. I hope that they do leave in World's Edge because I've heard rumors that they're going to be completely removing it. Um, so hopefully that doesn't happen, and we'll see what does.
The only thing that I think makes this even semi available as an option is the introduction of Catalyst. I don't think you could even make this map potentially an option unless Catalyst is around. That being said, I still think teams are going to have to drastically change up their comp based on the openness of this map. I feel like I'm not a comp expert. You guys would be better at this than me, but like, does Gibby come back? Like, I feel like that bubble would be huge in like an open spot.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were finishing your thought or there was more, but I that's so one of the biggest complaints I saw in the first 2 or 3 days was people were just getting pissed off because people were running these meta comps that we see on Stormpoint or we see on World's Edge. Granted, both of those maps have two different types of metas. For those that, I mean, there is an overall generic meta, but sometimes there's a niche pick for each map and stuff like that. Well, what I saw a lot of pros complaining about was they were running all these generic meta picks and they were like, it doesn't work on this map. And so I'm very like, yes, why I think there's chances of Valk coming back. I think there's chances of Gibby coming back and Newcastle
Newcastle.
100%. I mean, think about how many spots you're going to be able to play if you can have an ulti down for Newcastle. So then in turn means, okay, Watson might be making a comeback too. It's just like the meta can just shift so heavily. And the hardest part, and we've talked about it a lot with a bunch of our interviews, the differentiation. And I know Wyatt loves to talk about different maps and different strategies. But if are people able to flip a switch whenever they go to Olympus, whenever they come off, let's just say hypothetically it is only Stormpoint and Olympus, like are they able to flip that switch of, okay, well, we got to do a completely different game plan and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, man. Like I kind of want to see Gibby back in the game, like in the meta. I don't know about you guys.
The other thing that comes to mind for me when it comes to this map being back or being in for the first time is what do they have planned for it in the future? Like, is there something that they're thinking about? Is there a change that they've already made? Is there something that they've already workshopped that they're thinking about implementing and putting back into the map that we're just not thinking about right now? Because by the time Pro League comes around, there should be a new season. I'm not sure if they would work on Olympus again. I feel like they worked on it relatively recently, but who knows? And by the time it actually gets to like a split one playoff or like a LAN, will it have changed by that point? So that's another thing that comes to my mind. Yeah, I just there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to it. I will say from a viewer perspective, I think it's going to be fresh. I think it's going to be new. I think people are going to enjoy seeing it at least for the first few times. Now, depending on how tragic the games go, like they could just go tragically, like Finn said earlier with the scrims. Maybe it's not as fun as like a World's Edge, but at least for the first few times, it's going to be, I think, a little bit more interesting. I have one question though that I really need you guys to answer because I don't have the answer to it, and I may sound really stupid for even saying it, but I got to say it. Doesn't Stormpoint have a lot of wide open areas as well? It's just
Explain
bigger,
that.
right?
So yeah, that's the reason why people run Bang. Like that's why Bang is like so high, like high priority on that map.
Yeah, so when I heard that everybody was like, "Well, it's too wide open," I'm thinking to myself in my casual brain, I'm like, "Well, Storm Point's wide open in a lot of spots as well." If we think about the first few games, I think from either Split Two Land or Champs, Luminosity had won back-to-back games on a spot on a hill, wide open, kind of just down the street from Shipfall or Shipwreck or whatever, and that hill is completely wide open. Like there was just one fence, and the team that took the fence, I'm pretty sure, lost. And then there was a rock. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that map's still really wide open too. Now, granted, there is a lot more area for it to close on places that have cover and stuff. Like there are more POIs. It's obviously much bigger. The chances of it landing on a place with cover is much higher than a place like than Olympus. Also, Olympus has places where you can fucking fall off the map.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to keep a tally of how many
sucks.
people fall off the map too. Like I think that's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Oh my god, that's gonna be funny. But yeah, I thought to myself like, okay, they're saying it's too open, but in my head, I'm thinking, well, Storm Point's open too in a lot of areas. Am I crazy for saying
here's
that?
my rebuttal to that, and I don't. I'm pretty naive considering I haven't seen there's not been a whole lot of comp that's been played on Olympus. So it's like I'm making a very early judgment, but it's like I'm thinking, by orbital cannon, like, dude, that place is so hard to get into. One, there's like a whole wall that you have to either take a zip line up to or whatever, right? And then it's like it's just grass all around to get to that point. And I'm just thinking, dude, can you imagine trying to like it's just hard. Like rotates are going to be very, very difficult. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but that's the reason why I think Valk's going to come back. Is like people are going to be like, screw this, dude. Why are we trying to rotate like that? We're just going to go back to using Valk whenever we need to and just hit a Valk ult and find a spot. Like that's why I think it is fascinating because I think there is going to be such a meta shift, dude. And like I said, I think it's 50-50. I think there are some POIs that I think end games are going to play out very well. And then there's going to be some that it's just like, oh, Lordy, it's what is Elysium? It's an Elysium ending. Like, dude, like it's a floating platform. Like, how are people going to be rotating? I don't know. It's just funny.
There's people who are going to be driving their tridents just off the side just so they can get the boost, go in the air, and just hope that they land on a place. That's a legitimate strategy now.
No, that is a legitimate strat. That is a legitimate strat. 100%.
But I don't know. I just thought about that because there are times where you're playing. I mean, I guess you could say it for every map, but I think World's Edge does a good job at having cover most of the time. But like Storm Point does have those areas where there's not a whole lot of stuff around you, and so it could end up screwing you and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I think that the metas are going to be crazy. I almost feel like, and this is me talking, remember, I almost feel like Watson Newcastle is really good. I feel like that one might be one of the better ones, but I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
And then what for a third would be Bang or Valk or Horizon?
I don't know, dude.
I think you gotta go Bang.
Because I had just talked about Bang's how Catalyst made this possible.
But I mean, if you're going the Newcastle route, you basically have to have Watson. I think Watson, especially with how with Horizon leaving meta, if that happens, which I don't even know if we'll see. If Fuse gets picked more, that'll make those teams that are running Newcastle, you basically have to have a Watson or else Newcastle's pointless. Especially Newcastle is pointless against a Fuse.
Dude, can I?
Unless you have a Watson.
I'm kind of like...
You got to have a Bangalore, though. You have to have
Can I be honest? I'm like not locked in on the Fuse like hype right now. No, I'm not. I think I do not buy into the Fuse hype. Like I think Fuse is a B tier legend. But that's just me.
Do you not think that we're going to be seeing more of them?
Sure. I think that people are see what TSM's doing and think, oh yeah, we need to be doing that. Whereas like they don't understand that there's a complete play style that you have to use, like have to be playing at with a fuse, like to actually get the most out of him. I think people just think, oh, he's just a very good counter to Cat, and like they don't really, they just think that, and then they're just like, why does it not work? Well, it's like, I don't know. I'm not in on the fuse being hardcore meta pick. Like I think he's good.
I never said the fuse is going to be hardcore meta. I just said that we might see more.
No, agreed. But I've been seeing a lot of fuses and a lot more fuses in ranked, and like just people are getting a little crazy with the fuse right now, and I don't know if I believe in it.
I feel like that's got to be partly due to the heirloom just coming out.
It's a great point.
And the slight buff. Very slight buff, but he did get one. Here's my final question that I thought about when it comes to Olympus. Is it even possible to play zone, or are you risking too much by playing zone?
I think this is a weird,
like hard
it's a
zone.
weird POI, but I think there's only like 3 POIs that I would say are hard zone, and that's going to be Hammond Labs. That's going to be Phase Driver. I think that's what it's called. No, it's not Phase Driver. Excuse me. It's Terminal is what it's called, right? Terminal. It's right in the middle of the map. And then the why can I not think of it? It's like a big shadow. It's like a big shadow bulb. The Rift.
The Rift.
It. Because I think rotates are going to be so much easier right there. Like, think about it. Like, you could just hit the Rift and you're already in the middle of the map, and you could get to the other side of the map so fast, like in 20 seconds. So I think those 3 are like my primary in my head. I guess you could throw in Turbine as well. So those are going to be your hardcore zone teams, I think. I don't really know. How do y'all feel about the loot on that map?
That's what I was about to ask you. I was going to say, like, if you're a TSM who basically gets to pick where they want to go, where do you even want to go? I mean, Enoch said Phase Driver.
Phase Driver's correct.
Outside of that, if you're a high tier team who basically gets to pick where they want to go, where do you want to go?
Docs, if you can get Fight Night with it, could be cracked.
What do you guys think about Carrier?
Mid.
I'm like
mid. It gets a crafter.
It does get a crafter, but I don't know.
And it has a beacon.
I will say one thing about Carrier that I do like is the loot is pretty like stacked. Like it's pretty easy. I think they'll be able to rotate pretty quickly as well. I also think big thing that people maybe not thinking about is it has a redeploy as well. So I don't.
Docs
is going to be like the secondary pick, I think, for people playing Edge. I think people will play like they'll want Docs. But dude, the loot on this map is, dude, I don't know if it's that great, but that's just from my own experience of playing ranked and playing pubs on it. Is like sometimes I'm just like, dude, this loot is so rough, bro.
I want to see a contest in the Pathfinder boxing ring at least once. I just want to see it one time.
Dude,
just 2 guys knuckling up.
They're going to be fight night endings, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's definitely weird. It feels a little off. Like maybe this is a one-off kind of thing. We try it out in like groups or something and we see where it goes. I could definitely see it reversing back to World's Edge. Because I don't think do they lock in a map and like we can't change it until it's over? I don't think they do that.
I'm not the one. You know who would be like fantastic to ask about this? Maybe we do this off air, but like Minus Tempo would be a perfect person because he's obviously done a lot for the scene. He talks directly with like Tab and Shaheen and stuff like that. So like he might be the one like to kind of pick the brain and be like, oh yeah, they're doing this or that. So something that, we might try and get some info for you guys, what we're trying to say. We're trying to be some insiders here.
Insider info.
I've seen a lot of people voice their opinion that maybe KC coming back, but I have a hard time thinking that people are gonna want to have KC back because that was the original map, right? So I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like KC is the best option. And I'm not even a big KC guy, but I do feel like it is the best option. Broken Moon would make sense, I think, if the zip lines didn't exist. You know?
They do
But they
exist.
exist. You can't really like change that. I feel like KC's probably the best option, but they're trying something new.
KC could be fun.
I'm not gonna.
I don't, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just think about KC for a second. If we are gonna choose, like, okay, let's do KC as a map. Anybody that gets Spotted Lake or Crash Site or Caustic Treatment is on such an advantage due to how much loot in like the substantial amount of loot, but also the quality of it is so much higher at those POIs that they would just be at such an advantage. So, I don't know. Like, I think it might play out better. I don't really know now. Like, I can't really tell.
I feel like if we're gonna try out Olympus, we might as well just try out
like do
KC
them all.
as well.
Let's just do Broken Moon too. Like,
just do them. Just try them all. Yeah, just throw them all in there and just see what happens.
Bro,
People,
I mean, can you imagine?
As a game, we've only tried one Broken Moon game, right? Or one Broken Moon tournament.
I think so
that was all we did.
Yeah. I don't know why we. Well, in my opinion, I think that those end games are better on Broken Moon than than the other maps. A lot of people just have a very sour taste in their mouth, like Enoch, that had to play that grueling 3-month season of Broken Moon. So
yeah, Broken Moon is terrible.
Right. So that's exactly my point. Like,
I will never view that as a good map.
Exactly.
Ever.
And it's because
ever.
it was just there for a long time. A lot of people just got a very bad taste in their mouth about the map.
It's horrible.
But they don't give it a shot competitively. I think maybe we could give it a shot. If it's horrible, then it's horrible, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're in the realm where we're giving Olympus a shot, we should be able to
100%.
say like, okay, yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like if we're giving Olympus a shot, we should be giving Broken Moon.
Yeah, I feel where Enoch's coming from. Like, it makes sense because it was there for so long. But I do think it would play out differently competitively. I don't think people are just going to be hopping on zip lines willy-nilly and just like trying to. There's going to be some edge teams, obviously, who are going to be looking for a fight. But I mean, as a community, it does make sense that everybody's just done with Broken Moon. It makes sense. We were always there. It was always there. It had the longest season, and then it came back over and over. It was like one time I was trying to date a girl from Jersey Mike's. I went to Jersey Mike's every day for 3 months. That was like 6 years ago. I haven't had Jersey Mike's one time since. I went on one date.
Dude, that's awful. I'm not gonna lie. And Jersey
Every
Mike's
day.
is like pretty good, but it's like you'll never go there again.
It's good.
It's like
I'll never go. Like I used to go every single day, get 2 sandwiches a day, which just, by the way, is just so stupid financially.
that's what I was gonna say, dude. Those are not cheap. Like, not at Jersey Mike's.
Dude, by the end, I was getting smalls. Like I was like, I got to make a move quick. I'm running out of money. Luckily, she made the move. She wrote her number on a brownie, like one of the ones in a wrapper. Wrote her number on it. Went on one date. Never talked to her again.
And now you don't go back.
It's a tough date. It's a tough date. I said the word shit, and she was like, "Excuse me," and I go, "Oh shit, my bad." And then I said it again, and she was like, and then that was that.
Yeah, it was never
raps.
meant to be for you, Wyatt.
Never,
I'm gonna be
never
honest
meant
with
to
you.
be.
Didn't have a chance.
Not me and
Man,
Jersey
2
Mike's girl.
shits.
You didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
shits.
That didn't have a shot, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And that relationship
didn't
was the
go
third
well.
one.
Okay. Anything else before we finish it off? Nothing. All good.
We can just ask something if we got something tomorrow after the interview.
You want to do that tomorrow?
I'm just saying, like,
heart to heart.
oh, I'm good. We can do that tonight. We can do that tomorrow. I was just saying that we could do other stuff if we wanted to add on after.
This will probably be good.
Yeah,
to be
yeah, I
honest,
got you now.
this is an hour's worth of us talking. Plus, if we can snag an interview tomorrow, yeah, I think we'll be good.
All right, you guys want to just round it out with heart to heart then?
Yeah, we can. I don't have a heart to heart, so I'll just say that. But
All right, that works.
You
All right, here we go.
You guys want to do this tomorrow? You guys want to?
Yeah, let's just do it
Get
tomorrow. We might have something tomorrow.
But
All right.
glad
All right,
we
boys.
get-
Good
yeah,
job.
I'm glad we
no, I mean
did
this
it.
was good. Yeah, my apologies.
All right, here we are, ladies and gents. It is heart to heart time. Heart to heart
You guys
time.
just
Boys, does
witnessed
anybody
me
want to go
pick up
first?
I know.
dog poop,
I
bro.
figured that your heart to heart
Yep,
was going to
yep,
be directly inspired by.
I mean, dude. Yeah, for those that don't know, right before we just started recording this heart to heart, I just had to pick up my dog's poop, and it was not great. It wasn't cool. It wasn't very fun.
Fresh.
That's all. Yeah, dude, it was fresh and it was disgusting. So I don't have anything for my heart to heart, to be honest, this week, but I'm glad that they got to witness what I have to do quite a bit. Too much.
There you go. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I'll go next. Okay, so I talked about how the hockey team lost 18-2, and I also talked about how the stream was terrible and didn't go very well. So I've been working really hard on making this stream not only just good to where I can get a camera hooked up and like going, I am putting in the most amount of effort to make sure that this stream is like television quality. Now, it's all going to blow up on my face when I'm there because I am my own producer and I'm the broadcaster and I'm the cameraman. So it's going to be tough sledding for your boy. But I've made a bunch of graphics. I went into After Effects. I had a mental breakdown twice trying to make a stinger to go in between the different scenes. I'm probably going to make a be right back screen for the intermissions and maybe even upload some video, maybe some interviews with the players and stuff. I'm going to throw all that in there. I am taking this with everything that I have because when I had the stream fail last week, I looked at myself and I said, you don't have that many more opportunities left if you want to make it in this world, and you need to make sure that you show up to every single opportunity that you have with the utmost of respect. You got to respect that opportunity, and I didn't respect last week, and I wasn't happy with myself for it. I'm a guy who tends to try to blame things on other people because I like to deflect, and it's one of my biggest problems. I need to own up to this and just be like, hey, this was on you. You had months to prepare for this. You had months to try out the cameras. You had months to get all the graphics. You had months to buy your own little mini table, get your own supplies, get a checklist going. And I didn't do that. That's on me. That is my fault. Nobody else but my own. These next few streams, this season, I'm going to go as hard as I can possibly go. And if we lose every game 18-2, you better believe that I will still have these silkiest goal calls for when we score those 2 goals. That is my plan. I'm just going balls to the wall for Fresno State. At the very least, I want to make sure that this stream is good for the people at Fresno State. They deserve it, especially those Fresno hockey fans, because they are rampant. Although it is a small community, it is a rampant community, and I want to make sure they get what they deserve. And I need to do that for myself. I need to prove it to myself that I can do, like, work harder than I've ever done to make this a great production. So I'm going to do that. And that is my heart to heart this week. I'm going to be dumping and pouring in hours. Before we started this stream, or before we started this part of the show, I had gone down to Best Buy, sent somebody else to a different Best Buy to find a specific cord cable that I need for great camera work, which is what I'm going to do. And then I've finished making the scoreboard for this week, and I've got some graphics in mind. Like I need to make sure that I am going to the absolute max to make sure this is good. And hopefully that'll carry over into other aspects of my life, whether it be these pods, coming up with new segment ideas, coming up with different things that will make it fun during the off season, all of those things. I need to stop with the distractions, focus on what's real, focus on what's right in front of me, and make it the best I can possibly make it. Not to say that I haven't been working hard beforehand, but I think I could have been putting in a little bit more mental energy at my day job, like taking out the earphones, not listening to other podcasts, and just focusing with just me in my head being like, what can I do for this? What can I do for that? I made a checklist on my phone today, doing all of those things and not distracting myself at all times with other forms of media. Just focus on my media, what'll make it the best form of my own media. So that is my heart to heart this week, really focusing, buckling down on the things I want to make great. Enoch, your heart to heart this week.
My heart to heart, dude, I had an absolute fire moment. Earlier today, I'm midstream playing in queue. The wife comes in. She's setting up a tent in the backyard. We're setting up a tent for Sukkot, like staying in a temporary dwelling. And so we're going to be staying in a tent in our backyard. And it is a juicer tent. Like, I'm talking like you could fit a whole family with a decent amount of children in there. And it's just a juicer large tent. And she needed my help setting up the main pole for like the whole tent to stand on. And I was like, okay, I got this. Went out, was getting ready, was doing the thing. This thing was not easy. It is a big pole. It was a big tent. At one point I was close, and I was starting to doubt on whether or not I was going to be able to get the job done. And I was like, I could wait, and I could call my friend that lives close by, and he could come by, and we set it up easy. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm bodying this shit in front of my wife, and I'm going to be that fucking guy. And I just dug deep, and I just pulled everything that I got, and I just, boom, set up that tent. And I just had a certain swagger that I was walking around with after I had conquered that tent solo dolo. Well, my wife was there and she helped, but like, she didn't help me set up the pole. She was just holding the other parts of the tent, and so that it didn't get caught. And then she was yeah. But it was mostly solo effort with a little bit of assistance. But I bodied it, felt amazing, and it was. And I want to take that energy and I just want to apply that to like every area of my life, and just everywhere I go, just show up with just that swagger of like, oh, I just bodied that for my wife, and then just. Because like really, like in a certain way, like I do content and everything for a lot of different reasons, but one of them is that it is my job, and I get to provide for my family. And so if I show up each day with like that baller energy, like it's just gonna be easy raps. And that was just a fun little. My heart to heart is that was a really fun moment, and I enjoyed it, and it was dope, and I'm thankful. And yeah, I think that's what I got.
You conquered Earth as a man.
And
there you go.
I'm really like, I definitely didn't think that I cared about random people's opinions of me. And I felt like over the past week or so, I've been really putting that to the test. And I'm really thankful to see where I'm at. Like, I'm just incredibly thankful to be where I'm at.
Because you got the
like
true litmus test. You
regardless
got, like,
of what you say, there's always going to be people who are misunderstanding what you're writing. And I feel like that is something that I've been having, is like people are just misunderstanding what I'm writing. And that's fine. It's going to happen. I genuinely have so much peace within myself, and am able to look at all of these negative comments and all of these people who are having just incredibly negative perceptions of me, and be freed from allowing that to affect me and for me caring, because I just don't need to concern myself with the opinions of men. And that's definitely an area of my life where I can't say that I've always felt that way. And I definitely got that now. And it's a strong knowing within myself that I'm like, I can do what I have to do, or like anything that I'm like, not even like, I'm trying to think of the right words. I can just do me without having to worry about every person out there having an opinion on it. And it's just something that I wish more people could experience.
Yeah, man. It's you definitely ran the gauntlet in that department. Are you still getting any tweets from the original,
No,
the OG tweet?
It's for the most part pretty died down.
Old news, eh?
There are a couple people who are responding very similar things to a lot of my tweets. So definitely some trolls that are sticking around. But that's to be expected. Engagement's engagement. We take that all day. Yeah, one thing that's super weird is, so people apparently think that I'm like a right winger when I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Like the right wing and the left wing are two wings of the same bird, and I just think it's all a show, and so I'm neither. I just think it's all a scam, but we're in it and we get to make the most out of it.
You're just a big conspiracy.
Okay, and hold up. You're telling me that there are people out there who don't believe in any conspiracies and they think the government is legitimately just doing their best trying to provide everybody with a good experience? Like, you don't believe in any of them?
Here he goes.
I mean, you think they got a 100% perfect record, clean slate, never lied? Like, what?
We're batting 1,000.
But it's funny. It's a fun life, and I'm excited for whatever is in my next chapter.
Beautiful stuff. Okay, well, that should just about round it out for the show. Thank you guys for tuning in as always, and thank you to our guest Tiffa. Thanks for her to hop on the show. Had no idea she was doing a subathon at all. It was actually like a very we were scrounging trying to find, somebody to hop on, and she was so willing to just hop on during the middle of a fucking subathon. And I think she'd only slept like 3 hours, which is insane. Like, she just hopped on the show after all of that. So shout out to Tiffa. It was awesome to have her on, and hopefully we get some more ghost stories soon, because I'm so down. I'm ready to hear some more ghost stories. Don't forget to click the link down below. Follow along with all of our social medias. Go into the Discord. Say what's up in the Twitter and all of that good stuff. We will catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex Podcast.